was definitely not healthy, not aligning, and I was definitely stuck. I was just in that gray area. And so I didn't know how to talk about it. So I've actually written curriculum now that can bring the sober curious language and living sober minded into the conversation, which I think is an on ramp for more women to explore without fear of judgment, labels, and shame.
Welcome to the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast, where you will learn simple solutions to win at work without losing at home. Hi, my name is Martine Williams, and I am your host and CEO, your Chief Encouragement Officer. And this podcast is your one-stop shop to creating a burnout-proof life and business by elevating your clarity, confidence, and courage. Friends, it's time to say goodbye to being the yes girl, to procrastinating on your goals and living in overwhelm. And it's time to say hello to creating healthy boundaries, healthy mindsets, and healthy habits so that you can achieve work-life harmony. Your next breakthrough starts here. This is the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast. Let's do this. Okay, friends, I'm so excited about today's episode with Turquoise Talk guest, Jenn Kautsch. So she's someone that was one of the first to raise her hand and talk about what does it mean to be sober curious? What does it mean to be sober minded? What is the gray area on the drinking spectrum? What does it feel like to be in the detox or retox cycle? And as a woman of faith. And I'm so thankful that she was willing to go first, because it's because of her and other women that I have seen become curious about their relationship with alcohol that allowed me to become curious about my relationship with alcohol. And so we're talking about all of these things in this episode. And a little bit about Jenn. She's the founder of a nonprofit called Sober Sis and a leader in the Sober Curious movement. She lives in Fort Worth, Texas with her husband of almost 30 years and has 2 adult children in their mid-20s. It is her passion and life's calling to create a space for women who can renegotiate their relationship with alcohol without the labels, the judgment, or the shame. And we talk about all 3 of those in this episode. She coaches women who feel stuck in that gray area and helps them to get off of autopilot and mindlessly sipping through the habit of wine o'clock. She's all about holistic health. We have a lot in common. She promotes freedom from that detox to retox cycle. And through her personal faith and her own story and understanding of science and ability to facilitate connection, lives are being changed. And so this is why I wanted to bring her on the show. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Well, hey friends, welcome back to the show. We have another amazing Turquoise Talk guest, Jenn Kautsch. Jenn, thank you so much for coming on the show.
I'm excited to be here.
I have been waiting for this interview and the courage to reach out to you and just ask if you'd be willing to come on the show. So thank you again for taking the time to be on here. It's a really important topic, and I think it's one that we don't talk enough about, especially in entrepreneurship and in motherhood and trying to juggle both. So just tell us a little about you and your family right now.
Yeah, so I've got a big birthday coming up this summer, depending on when your listeners listen. June of 2026, I'm turning the big 5-5. And that feels like even like 50 was a big one. Now I'm going in the middle of the decade. Been married for 30 years, coming up on 31, have 2 grown and flown children, and live in Fort Worth, Texas.
Okay. Well, we talked about this earlier. I just turned the big 50. So
Yeah.
I get that. And it's like ongoing celebration, but I feel like I'm just getting started. I don't know about you, but I feel like I
I
am
do. I'm
started.
catching a different stride in my
Yeah.
50s than I had in my 40s for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's just dive right in and talk about, I know you've built an amazing Sober Sis community. And is that what people call you? Do they call you Jenn, or they call you Sober Sis?
Sometimes they do call me Sober Sis. Even on my Zoom here, I have like Jenn, AKA Sober Sis. It has become a bit of an identity, but just definitely a part of me. It's my mission, my calling, but not all of me.
Yeah.
But I do think people do kind of refer to me as that now,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
which is an honor.
it is. It is. What a big mission and what a big impact that you're having on women all across the globe. And I think there's, what is sober and sober minded? Like, what's the difference in the two? And if someone's listening and they're like, I don't really know, like, there's this like gray area where I'm like, is this, is this a problem or is this not a problem? Or what, tell us a little bit about that topic.
Yes, you bring up such a great point. What a great way to start out. Because I am, quote, AKA Sober Sis is my Instagram handle and kind of the name of our community, but it's really short for Sober Minded Sisterhood, which
Okay.
is a mouthful and a pretty long title. So it didn't really go as well on Instagram. But yes, there is a big difference between, I think, being sober, which I think is kind of a loaded term. I mean, I think there's just like there's a stigma oftentimes to words like alcoholic, there
Mm,
are also words like sober that
mm,
are loaded with stereotype and stigma. And I think it's too bad for all of it to even have a stigma or a stereotype around a label.
right.
And that's why I focus so much more of my own personal work and the work that I share with others on being sober minded,
Mm,
which I really kind of have come up with this term that just has rolled off my tongue so many times, which is being awake, alert, aware,
mm,
and present in your own life.
yeah.
Because I look at being sober as abstinence from something. It's
Right.
like what you're not doing. And again, sober could mean sober from what? Where
Right.
have you been?
Right.
This could be a massive rock bottom situation. Whereas I think being sober minded is something any and everyone are called to be and invited to.
Hmm.
And so it's a pretty big difference, even though I am choosing to live an alcohol free lifestyle.
Hmm.
And to me, that sounds different as well. And
Yeah.
I don't want to get caught up in the semantics, but I do think words matter. And I
Yeah.
know for me, if I would have heard the word just sober and not understood
Mm,
more of the conversation about gray area drinking, I would have really stayed stuck because I
yeah.
didn't see myself as someone who, quote, needed to get sober.
Yeah.
I knew that I needed to be more awake, alert, alive, present in my own life. And alcohol wasn't doing that with me. It wasn't serving me. It wasn't doing me any favors.
Yeah.
And I was definitely sober minded by day and kind of unplugged the mindfulness at night.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of what's pushed, right? Like you talk about, mommy's wine time and, it's a way to kind of down regulate, at least you think it is, a way to
Totally.
kind of down regulate for the day. And it's just what is marketed to us on such a high level that when you're doing the opposite, you feel like an outsider, you know?
Totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been duped. I
We
mean,
have been, dude.
we've been duped and tricked by the marketing and the messaging
Mhm.
around alcohol that's totally normal to rosé all day.
Yeah.
All the memes and the
Yeah.
tea towels and the
Yeah.
t-shirts and just the glamorization
Mhm.
of alcohol
Yeah.
is so predominant in our society, especially as we get older. I think the younger generation is kind of catching on and changing a little bit. The stats are there to prove it. But I think women our age, 40s, 50s, 60s, and up, are actually drinking more for
Mhm.
the first time in history as we age, not less, as
Wow.
as a group, as a cross section.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm really excited to be here to have a conversation about gray area drinking and that you can change your relationship with alcohol at any time for any reason, no matter what stage you are in life. If you're out there single, ready to mingle,
Mhm.
which I think that would be interesting in this day and time, just the whole dating scene
Right. Yeah.
around alcohol has changed, then for sure the dating scene that I
Mhm.
had in the 90s. Okay, just dated myself there.
I'm with
Big
you.
time. Real big time. But that's okay because things really are shifting and they're always shifting. And I think the conversation and the resources need to shift as well.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there's more open-mindedness or like the curious, being sober
Yes.
curious is definitely on the move. I know for me, like I told you, I'll be 3 years in September since I've had any alcohol. And it really was just this curious journey that I just had not done the dry January before or the sober October and all of those things before because I just didn't. I didn't think there was anything big about it. I'm like, well, I mean, I
Right.
don't drink that much, right? But then as I started learning more just about alcohol, and like you said, like how we've been duped on it and just it's an addictive substance. Why would I be surprised if anyone became addicted if you're drinking an addictive substance?
Right.
Like
Right.
what are we expecting out of ourselves? We're
I
just
know. Well, and that was me because I didn't come from a big drinking background. It wasn't something I always did. It was something I kind of picked up as a social habit in my young 30s.
Mhm.
I was already married, had two kids, boots on the ground, kids on the ground. I mean, I was already in it. I was
Yeah.
already in married mom life
Hmm.
when I started socially drinking. It was not for me in college or in my 20s. It wasn't that I had tried not to, it just wasn't my thing. And I found that when I got married at 24, we just started building a business together. We started building a family together. We just started building. And if I hadn't picked up drinking by then, it wasn't the time to do so. But in
Right.
my young 30s, I did find myself at a lot of networking
Mm.
happy hours. And
Yeah.
I know probably your audience can really relate with the well, yeah, the happy hours. That's what I called my free download, my happy hour survival guide. Because you
Yeah.
got to know what you're doing going into those. I mean, you get
Yeah.
two tickets at the door, which means here are your two drinks. Everyone's doing it.
Right.
Everyone beelines to the bar and immediately gets a drink in their hand. And
Hmm.
that was me. There I was, back to work. And my job took me out in the evening. So I was at home by day,
Mm.
out networking in the evenings, building my business that way. And so there I was at the happy hour, and I was just going to have a drink to kind of take the edge off. And what I recognized now looking back is I was actually losing my edge
Yeah.
by taking those drinks because I was kind of dulling my awareness. Everything was kind of starting to kind of run together in my sharpness to catch up on the nuances of what other people were saying. It started to get to where it was just like everyone's just kind of in this haze.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
Charlie Brown. Everything starts sounding like wah wah.
Yeah, and we're all kind of in the same boat. So
Right.
the productive, really engaging networking just becomes I found it to be just kind of a drink fest. And
Yeah.
I wasn't judging it. I was a part of it.
Right.
And I just thought, well, that's what adults do.
Hmm.
That's what working women do. You
Yeah.
work hard, you play hard,
Yeah.
it's your reward. And
Yeah.
then I transferred that work life social drinking to my home life drinking, where it was like, well, I did work hard at home too. And if I
Right.
don't have a networking event tonight, well, I've got book club, or I've got a date night with my man, or I can even just be cooking in my kitchen.
Yeah.
I definitely need a reward for that.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I just pour a glass while I was cooking, on a Tuesday night at 5 o'clock. And
Yeah.
before I know it, it's 8 o'clock. I'm on my second or third glass. And I'm like, what am I doing? This
Yeah.
is not really me. It doesn't really align with my healthy by day, mindful by day, high
Mhm.
productive by day. But
Yeah.
like you said at the top, I was looking for a way to kind of have an off switch of
Mm.
my mind, my overthinking, my
Yeah.
overperforming, overly responsible. I was just kind of over it.
Yeah.
And so for me, 5 o'clock, wine o'clock became a habit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's so much confusion around like, is this a bad habit or is this a problem?
Right. It's a slippery slope, and
Yeah.
there's a real blurry kind of, again, gray area drinking line.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I think it is important to denote that anyone who drinks alcohol at any time is on the drinking spectrum. And I
Mhm.
love that that's kind of a buzzword, pun intended, in our society these days,
Yeah.
spectrum. But
Right.
I think the word spectrum and use of it in even your relationship with drinking is critical,
Mhm.
because no matter where you are on there, you could be like at one end of the spectrum, take it or leave it, but you'll have a drink now and then again, or, you'll have a champagne toast at a wedding. Okay, you're a drinker, but you don't really care. You
Right.
can put it down. In fact, the people on the far end of the drinking spectrum are those of you out there, if you're listening, who can order a glass and then just kind of get tired of drinking it halfway through and just leave it.
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
was not me.
No, it
Let me
wasn't.
just let me just say that
Finisher.
that was not me.
Finisher.
I was definitely a finisher, and I was. I'll help you too if you can't finish yours,
Right.
just to help. I'm just
Right.
helping. But like that would be the epitome of like someone on the far end of the drinking scale,
Right.
I guess you could say.
Right.
And
Right.
then you've got about 10% of heavy or habitual drinkers who really do fall into that physical addiction
Mhm.
space on the drinking spectrum, where now it has become physical to the point that you're probably going to need some kind of medical supervision, or you can't just quit cold
Right.
turkey and just put it down. So if you've got about 10% on either point of that spectrum, it's the middle. It's the
Yeah.
bulk of the people out there, much like myself, maybe even you included,
Yeah.
that felt in that gray area where you could, quote, take it or leave it physically, but emotionally and
Yeah.
mentally, there was definitely a different tie. And when I could describe my gray area drinking, I just really valued alcohol really high in my life.
Mhm.
I looked forward to it. I romanticized it. I guarded it. I protected it. I used it
Mhm.
as oftentimes a coping tool, and I knew it. By the time I got into my mid 40s,
Mhm.
I knew for sure I was using alcohol to what I thought would reduce anxiety. Learn the science.
Yeah. Right.
It's actually pouring fuel like gasoline on the fire of anxiety. I thought it was chilling out. I thought it
Right.
was becoming a better mom, like relax, relax.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I used it as a sleep aid. I
Mhm.
thought, well, it's going to kind of perk me up earlier in the evening, but it'll be kind of a sedative at night because it'll anesthetize my, again, overthinking. I'm a light sleeper. And I mean, can a drink really do all of that?
Right.
But that's what I wanted it to do. I wanted it to do a lot of things for me. And so it became this subtle underlying relationship in my life that became almost like a love hate relationship. Like I
Yeah.
loved it. I loved the way it made me feel initially with
Mhm.
that first 20, 30 minutes of euphoria.
Yeah.
The anesthetizing was working.
Right.
So it did squelch down my anxiety, my overthinking, and my overperforming and
Mhm.
the stress immediately. And
Yeah.
so my brain, I love talking about neuroscience. So my
Yeah.
brain attached to the relief, and
Yeah.
that dopamine hit and that reward path really got dug down. And
Yeah.
so when I was not sleeping well or kind of foggy the next morning, I didn't attach it to my drinking. I just thought it was getting older. I just thought it was the stress of life.
Yeah.
I just thought I needed to manage other things in my life better, but I didn't attribute my increased anxiety, my higher cortisol, my lack of restorative sleep to the drinks I was having in the evening. And
Yeah.
it wasn't until I made that connection that for me, the actual science and practical
Mhm.
understanding of what was going on in my mind, my body, and my spirit started to make more sense. I thought I
Yeah.
was just broken.
Yeah.
And what I found out is I'm not broken. Like you said, you just knew something was off. It wasn't that you were broken. It was that your pattern was, and
Right.
that is changeable. That's the good news, y'all. It's
Yes.
fixable. You
Yeah.
know,
100%. 100%. And I like you, I love science. And I think the more I learned about what alcohol was actually doing to
yeah,
my body and to my mind, and that it's not just numbing the pain, it's numbing the joy also. Like it numbs the full expression of joy in my life and the full expression of presence in my life. And so I just, again, it's not marketed to us in that way. And so until you actually learn some of the science behind it, like I knew it probably wasn't the best thing for me, but just to learn all of those things about, like you said, the 20 minutes euphoria that you get, you don't get it again, but you're chasing
no,
it with another drink and another drink and another drink,
yeah,
but you never get that initial like buzz again,
no,
And
no.
like,
And I was a chaser. I mean, you just
yeah,
used the word chase. I use that word a lot too. I was
yeah,
literally a chaser to go get that feeling, go
yep,
find it again.
yep,
And what happens over time, which is why this is an addictive substance. I love that we're just like jumping in and we're kind of making alcohol more of the problem than the person,
yeah,
because I do think we've got personal responsibility, but a
hmm,
lot of this is not our fault. but it is our responsibility to
Right.
be able to step in and make changes. But a lot of this is like, oh, I didn't even know. I thought I was
Yeah.
doing
Right.
myself. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's kind of like, when you know the enemy's like on your back about something, like, oh no, no,
Yeah.
today you're not doing that today.
Right.
It's like you want to like come against it, and that's kind of how I felt. So I had to change a lot of my thoughts about alcohol too. Like I can't be fun without alcohol, or what are people going to think? And that just it takes time to kind of work through that. But the only way is to see it for what it is, and so just accepting that yeah, I have these thoughts about alcohol, I have these identities that I have attached to
Yep.
what the alcohol could be or is in my life right now. And I think everyone has a different timeline for that too in their sober, curious journey of when they actually see it for what it is. And I love that you create such a safe environment for people to come in no matter where they're at in that journey.
Yeah. And with Sober Sis, I really created what I wished I could have found,
Yeah.
because I found that there were great coaches, podcasts, Quit Lit, great stuff out there. But I was personally looking for someone who could bring in a more holistic approach.
Hmm.
Mind. I wanted the science. I
Yeah.
wanted the mindset tools. I wanted to understand the habit loop. Body. I wanted to understand literally like what it was doing to my anxiety, stress, sleep.
Mhm.
And then the spiritual side. I am a Christian. I wanted to be able to bring in spirituality. I come from my own just worldview, like I think we
Right.
all do. And
Right.
so I bring my faith in, but also just welcome the exploration of like, wait a minute, we are holistic beings. And I always try to compartmentalize and look at my life and my relationship, just like I said, in those compartments where I couldn't blend it all together.
Mhm.
And once I started doing that, I found a lot more wholeness in
Mm.
integrating all these parts of me instead of feeling shame or moral failure or willpower was going to be the secret when it really wasn't. It was willingness.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. If someone's listening and they wanted to start that journey, they just want to take a step. They know something's off, something's not right. They realize some of the patterns and the habits that they have. What's like one or two first steps that you think are the best or the easiest for them to take? Hey friend, let's talk. It's time to book your clarity call. We are going to spend 1 full hour focused on you. A clarity call isn't about pressure. It's about possibilities. It's about you. You having a space to talk through what's on your heart and mind, you walking away with a clear vision and practical next steps, and you feeling confident in what's next and how to get there. You don't need to have it all figured out. That's my job. All you need to do is show up and we'll figure it out together. This is the best hour you can invest in yourself right now. Not in 6 months from now, not next month, right now. And don't just take my word for it. Here's what one of my coaching clients had to say after working together.
Working with Martine has been nothing short of transformational. When I first started coaching with her, I felt really stuck and burnout and frustrated. And through her guidance, I've gained clarity and a deep sense of self-awareness that has touched so many areas of my life. Martine creates a space that is both safe and empowering, and she listens with intention, challenges with compassion, and helps you see possibilities where you previously only saw roadblocks. So if you're ready to grow, take bold steps, and connect more deeply with who you are and where you're going, I can't recommend Martine enough. She's a truly gifted and talented coach.
That transformation, it starts with one conversation. It's time to stop spinning your wheels and start making real progress. So head right now to martinewilliams.com or in the show notes and grab your private clarity call spot on my calendar before they're gone. And since I personally monitor my inbox, if you don't see a time slot that fits your calendar, just send me an email at martinewilliams.com with free times that do work, and I will make it work for you. All right, friend, let's get back to the show.
Yeah, for sure. And, I wrote a 21-day reset challenge where I take women through the first 3 weeks, 21 days to break or change a habit. When they say that, what they really mean is it takes about that long to bring awareness in and
Yeah.
get off of autopilot.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of the work I do, is that initial phase or stage where women are curious. They
Mhm.
just kind of want to wrestle with this out loud, but not say never, forever, or
Mhm.
get a label. So I think that's so important. But I would say just even awareness. I
Yeah.
work with women. I'm like, wait, before we even do anything, just start noticing,
Mhm.
just start becoming aware of like, well, wait a minute. I woke up this morning with really good intentions. Like I woke up and said, I am definitely not drinking tonight. I'm not
Right.
even drinking this week. Maybe I'm never drinking again if you have a bad hangover. Like what happens to 10 a.m. Jen
Mm.
and 5 p.m. Jen?
Yeah.
Where do the beliefs and thoughts and things kind of start to slip out of alignment for me? And
Yeah.
then in the evening, I'm doing what it is I don't really want to do. And
Mhm.
for me, that was the key. That was the first key,
Yeah.
was just being able to go, okay, I know now it's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I've done good at lunch. I'm still eating my salad, got my
Yeah.
yoga, got my green juice. I mean, I'm still on track at noon.
Yeah.
Oh, about 3 o'clock is when my blood sugar would start to drop. The decision fatigue would set in. That's about when I would start to think about what I was cooking for dinner when I had kids at home. Now I just don't even cook at all. It's just easier that way.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I don't have any of that cognitive dissonance at 3 p.m. I'm like, where are we going?
Right. Yeah.
That's what's
Yeah.
really
I'm
going
with
on.
you. I'm with you.
But yeah, at 3 p.m., that's when I would usually, before I went and got my kids from school or picked them up from sports, I would find myself in the grocery store, not with a plan, not even with a plan on, well, I kind of now think a glass of wine does sound good because now I'm tired. Now I'm overwhelmed. Now I'm kind of starting to get over it. And that's when I wasn't really set up for success. I was actually setting myself up for, I hate to use the word failure, so I won't. I see it as valuable feedback,
Right.
but I was really setting myself up for not having the evening that I had wanted that
Right.
morning.
Hmm.
And so, just again, awareness and almost like reverse engineering. Like
Yeah.
if you're showing up at a book club, a happy hour, a networking event, and you're drinking when earlier your intent
Hmm.
was maybe to try something different, you can go back and realize this is when I started negotiating with myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is when I started justifying, oh, it'll just be one, or I'm not fun without it. Like you said, going back to those beliefs, where did it shift? And if you can even notice that in the first month of being sober curious, that's one of the biggest things we do in our Sober Sis community. It's just bring awareness and notice
Yeah.
so that you can't really fail as long as you're trying.
Yeah. And you can't unsee it either. Like
No,
once you start seeing it for what it is, it's like, okay, now it's like it's in the world. It's in
totally.
my world and I can't unsee it.
You
But
can't
I think
unknow what you know. So the more you know, the
right.
better choices you can make,
Yeah.
for
And I
sure.
think also the big thing for me was just accepting that this is just where I was. It's not who I am. It's just where I am right
That's
now.
right.
And
That's
not
right.
going down the shame cycle of I should have stopped sooner or I can't believe I'm in this place. How did I get here? Like all those thoughts are just not super helpful for moving forward with it. It just kind of keeps you in that shame spiral. And
Exactly.
I firmly believe that shame blocks wisdom. So if you're in shame, you're not extracting any wisdom from where you're at right now. So
That's
just
right.
being
That's
in
right.
that awareness, and then also I think just accepting that this is where you are right now, but now you know, and now you're aware, and so now we can put action behind it.
Yep. And again, there's no shame in this game. It's really not a moral failure. It's an addictive substance
Mhm.
that you build tolerance for. And that's why one drink used to do it. And then after a while, you're like, that's a joke.
Right.
Get the party
That was
started.
nice. That was cute.
That was cute. Thank you. What? That's like pre-gaming while getting ready, like I was a total pre-gamer, got a roadie. I mean,
Oh
all of that.
yeah.
And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
wow. How did I go from like not drinking in my 20s to
Mm.
taking roadies and y'all don't know what I'm talking about. I think everybody does. But yeah, like that it's not about a moral failure. It's about a pattern. It's
Yeah.
about a thinking. I say in my book, Look Alive Sis, I had a thinking problem more than a drinking problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
100%.
so, yeah, when I could start to look at it that way and realize, oh, my tolerance builds has been built up. Therefore, my dependence has also gone up.
Yep.
Those go hand in hand.
Right.
That's biology.
That's
That's
science.
chemistry.
Yep. Yeah.
That's just science. And I was like, oh, okay, if that's just science, then my brain is actually
Yeah.
working as
Yeah.
it should. It's just going in the wrong direction. It's just going in a way I don't want it to go. So if
Yeah.
I created this desire, which I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have really before I started drinking on a regular basis,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I can uncreate it if I can get a new practice, a new repetition, a
Yeah.
new neuro pathway.
Yeah. A new way of thinking for sure.
Yeah.
A new identity, right? If
Yeah.
you identify as someone who doesn't drink, you don't drink.
Right. It's just now, it's just like,
It's like, why would I drink if I'm not, if I don't identify as a drinker? If I identify
exactly.
as a runner runs, right?
Right. I
A
love that.
gymnast does
Yeah.
gymnastics. So like it's also thinking about, because when I went through the 30 days and I'm like, okay, now the decision was, do you moderate your drinking? Do you decide? And for me, it was just easier just to not identify as a drinker anymore because I didn't want to have to think about, well, when I go to this wedding, am I going to drink? Like it was going to be a decision I had to make every single time. And so for me, it was easier just to make one decision and it's done. I don't
Yeah.
drink
Yeah.
anymore.
The mental bandwidth
Yes.
that moderation took for me, which I could do
Yeah.
until I couldn't. I
Right.
could totally moderate until I couldn't. And that's what I tell people. I have a whole day on that also in my challenge because I do get towards the end of that 21 days and women are like, well, because I am attracting sober, curious women who
Right.
are in the gray area. So when they join our community, our group, it's not because they know that they're never going to drink again. I think for many, it's a secret, heartfelt desire, but seems too far off,
Yeah.
seems
For
too
sure.
big,
Hmm.
seems too much. And I agree. That's why even I started my own journey in 2017 with a short term goal,
Yeah.
met that goal, and then moved the goalpost, met that goal, and started building just little milestones for myself along the way.
Yeah.
And that helped me a lot. And that's kind of the vibe of our tribe is,
Yeah.
hey, it's okay. You don't have to land. You don't have to come in and land.
Yeah.
You can be curious and you can take your time.
Mhm.
This is a personal relationship. It's a personal journey, but not a solo one.
Yeah.
It's so much better to have women who get it, who, what I say, type one, understand, like, it's not like, oh, I get it for you. I'm like, no, I get it with you.
Yeah.
And to have that empathy really shuts down a lot of that shame
Yeah.
because we get it.
We're all
We
in it
get it.
together. Yeah. We've all had the same thoughts or similar thoughts or in similar seasons. And
Yeah.
I think I love just the thinking about the journey and my own personal journey and just that awareness piece is so important to constantly just keep up because it's not that the thoughts don't come back. I mean, they do come
Right.
back, which is why community is so important and having a coach or someone to kind of mentor you through it. But it's just not always acting upon all the thoughts that you're having and being willing to feel anything. That's kind of one of the things I talk about with my clients. If you're willing to feel anything, you'll be willing to do anything. So if you're willing to
Oh,
feel
that's good.
uncomfortable
Yeah.
walking into a networking event, then you're going to be willing to not grab for the drink that makes you feel more comfortable, makes you feel more social in the moment, right?
Right.
But if you're willing to feel uncomfortableness and you're willing to feel like maybe I'm not going to be fine, I will tell you, like, I firmly had that belief that I'm not going to be able to show up and be the fun Martine when I go to a wedding or go to a party or go whatever because I'm not going to be drinking. And my inhibitions are going to be heightened. You know, I'm not going to be loose and doing all the things. And so I had to really work through that and just be aware every time I went, okay, what is my brain telling me right now? It's telling me that I need this drink to be fun. And it
Right.
almost like put a little competitiveness inside me because I was like, oh no, I can be fun without
Oh,
this.
no. Watch
You know,
this.
I can, yeah, watch me. You know, I can be fun without this. But I mean, for someone who's listening who might be just starting this journey, like it is challenging at times. It is challenging to
Absolutely.
challenge those thoughts. It can be exhausting to challenge those thoughts, but you're worth the challenge.
Yeah, it does take a lot of courage and
Mhm.
bravery to feel the feels
Yeah.
and to walk in and not outsource your confidence
Yeah.
to a drink when that's so socially acceptable
Yeah.
and even promoted. It is counterculture. And I've come to see that, like, I'm kind of a rebel. I'm a
Yeah.
rebel with a cause. Because I do think it's actually once you kind of get over that initial, like, let's even go back to a network meeting or a wedding or any social gathering. every single human being that walks in that room feels a level of uncertainty,
Mm-hmm.
which is vulnerability, because we don't
Yeah.
know. We don't know how it's going to go. We don't know how we're perceived. We're pack animals. We
Right.
want to be in the group. We want to be a part and belong and be
Yeah.
accepted. So that is a normal human function, whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, or
Right.
55. That is normal. And I think just going in and going, I might feel a little nervous. I
Mm.
might feel a little bit of trepidation or butterflies. I'm so glad, because that lets me know I'm alive. I'm
Yeah.
human.
Right.
And then if I don't short circumvent that, or circumvent that and just go through it, it passes. And then I feel really empowered.
Yeah.
Then I feel really like I am one with myself right now. I am sure of what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
can look people in the eye.
Yeah.
I am not thinking, where's my next drink? Or am I starting to become at all affected? I feel such ownership of my own presence. And
Yeah.
then I can actually practice the presence of other people, because I'm so present in my own body, and I'm so okay being Jen now,
Yeah.
which has taken a lot of work to go back to that. I felt like that more in my 20s
Mm.
before I started drinking. In my 30s and 40s, I actually became more insecure
Yeah.
as a drinker,
Mm-hmm.
because I, again, like you said, attached a lot of my identity to I'm fun if this
Yeah.
is how I connect with my husband. This is how I'm relaxed
Yeah.
with my friends. This is how I fit in. Whereas being a little bit later in life drinker, I mean, I know a lot of women are hearing us now who started probably drinking much younger than their 30s.
Yeah.
And I work with women who started drinking when they became an empty nester,
Right.
or during COVID. It was like they were just kind of a take it or leave it, maybe on that lower end of the drinking spectrum where it was just not a thing. And
Yeah.
then something like a global pandemic happens,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all of a sudden, that's the thing about drinking and gray area drinking, is your relationship can shift at any point in time. All it takes is a crisis, a tragedy,
Yeah.
major grief. If you're already kind of a social drinker and you're already using alcohol as a lubricant or a way to
Yeah.
ignore hard things, and then something really, really hard happens,
Yeah.
that's what I noticed for me in my 40s. I was raising teenagers and life was getting lifey, as we
Yeah.
say. And that's when I started leaning more on alcohol, like a crutch to kind of help hold me up and kind of bolster me up to just feel less,
Yeah.
feel more
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you and I talked about this the other day when we were talking before we recorded, but we all have an addiction to relief. And,
Yep.
some people get it through working, some people get it through, overworking out, some people get it through drugs, some people get it through alcohol, some people get it through sex. I mean, we all have
Yep.
this desire for relief,
True
and
fact.
it's filled with all different things. And so when I think about like this last season, as my audience knows, like we've been through loss after loss after loss, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, and then my dog. And like, if I would still be drinking, like that's what it is. It's like I just want to escape, right? I just want to
Sure.
escape the hardness. And I'm so thankful that, for anyone who's listening, like just being willing to feel the hard. That is, as a performer, as a high achieving woman, like we just want to go. We just want to push through, want to perform through, but to
Yeah.
actually allow yourself to feel the grief and to feel the sadness or feel the anger or the frustration, like those were emotions I was not in touch with at all
Mhm.
pre,
Yeah.
drinking in my drinking days. Like I just did not want to feel those things. I felt almost like less of a believer if I was feeling those emotions. Like, so I just
Right.
pushed them down and pushed them away or coped through them with alcohol. And
Right.
now going through these hard times, just knowing that I could feel safe in my body in those emotions.
Yep.
Didn't have to be scared of grief. I didn't have to be scared of sadness or any of that. And I definitely didn't need something to numb it out. I could just allow myself to feel it, and then it passes. It really
Yeah.
does. I know you
It
hear us
really,
saying that, but if you haven't experienced it, I promise you it will pass. It's still hard. It's
yeah.
still hard, but if you're willing to feel that, then you don't need a substance or work or,
Which really keeps us stuck. I've written a lot
yeah,
about that. It really does. When we use anything that suspends reality,
yeah,
anything that, like you said, the mindless scrolling, the mindless sipping, the
yeah,
mindless shopping, it's the mindlessness
yeah,
that is the relief that we're
yeah.
looking for, versus the just living in reality.
Hmm.
Good, bad, hard, ugly. things really do. I mean, I've heard it said that an emotion, if you can just breathe through it, literally has a 90-second life cycle.
It's
And I
wild to
don't
think
mean if
about it
you're
that way.
sad, you're not going to feel sad after 90 seconds, but I mean the height of that,
Mhm.
it's usually in that initial, kind of like gut punch or it took my breath away. That
Yeah.
statement is when people usually reach for, and I don't want to feel that way,
Right.
distraction.
Hmm.
And what ends up happening is then the loop begins and then you stay stuck. I've gone through grief as a drinker, I've gone through grief as a non-drinker.
Yeah.
And it is both still painful,
Right.
but the going through it
Hmm.
versus trying to go over it, around it, under it,
Hmm.
it is so much more. I mean, I know a lot of your listeners are, like you said, type A, Enneagram 3
Yep.
ones,
Yep.
get her done, kind of gals. And it's actually efficient
Mhm.
to feel your feelings and go through
Through
them
it. Hmm.
than try to go over it, under it, around it. It actually prolongs things longer than I think it needs to be.
Hmm.
And it's way more scattering
Yeah.
because you're constantly like, oh, I feel that way. Oh, I don't want to feel that way. And it's this slow walk of trying to move through something. It's actually just better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Better.
I think it creates a disconnect, right? If you're disconnected from yourself, it also creates a disconnection with others. That's
Totally.
like the thing I've noticed. Like the more I've leaned into being connected to my own emotions, I can actually hold space and be more connected to my kids when they're in theirs versus trying to fix theirs. Stop feeling that
Yes.
way,
A
or let's just,
100%.
like brush yourself off and let's keep moving. Like I can't tell you the number of times I've said that, especially to my youngest. He's definitely my more like in tune with emotion child. And I'm like calling him a drama king, which is not what he was being. I just was so out of touch with my emotions. I didn't know what to
Right.
do with his.
Right.
So it makes
Totally.
you so much better and present with other people's emotions when you're in touch with yours.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Totally. Big
Yeah.
difference.
Quick pause. If you've been listening and you're ready to stop performing your life and start leading it, if you know you're ready to feel better now, not later, and you're ready for support that actually creates sustainable transformation, I have private one-on-one coaching spots open. And inside this coaching, in Illuminate You coaching, we don't guess. We use your unique personality blueprint built from the science-backed personality and performance tool called the Pro Scan, the one you've heard me talk about here in the podcast. This is used so that every decision, every boundary, every shift is designed specifically around your wiring, not someone else's. This is my aligned success method. It's not hacks. It's not try harder. It's not mindset glitter. It's a real solution. It's rooted in science, strategy, and your unique design. So you can lead your life as the woman you actually are, not the woman others expect you to be. Now is the time. Take the step. Book your clarity call at martinewilliams.com/clarity. All right, back to the episode. So tell me what you're most excited about now in your community and what you're working on and how you're serving people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the holistic view and kind of the faith walk and the faith journey, I do feel like there are a lot more voices now in the sober-minded movement or this alcohol-free world that I've been in for about 9 years now. In fact, I just celebrated being alcohol-free for 9 years.
I saw that.
Not a big day
Congratulations.
counter, but I couldn't help but notice the year. When the
Yeah.
year rolls on, I'm like, okay, April is kind of a special time of year. And been doing and being, I guess you could say, Sober Sis for 8 of those 9. And so I love that there's so many more voices now in the space and that the conversation is becoming more, I don't know, a little bit more mainstream.
For sure.
And that's exciting.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's allowing me now to kind of niche down into the faith aspect more. Again, the shores of Sober Sis are open and welcome. And I invite all women of any age, different faiths, all of it, because I really do keep sober-minded living and keeping that the main thing.
Right.
But as a believer, as a Christian, I've just grown so much in my walk with God through this walk of being sober-minded that it has really helped me kind of turn a lot of my content and sharing in that way. So I partnered with YouVersion the free Bible
Oh,
app.
yeah.
Maybe you've heard of it.
Yes.
It's a free app you can put on your phone. It's like a little Bible icon. And I've written now several plans on YouVersion. So I'm a YouVersion partner.
That's
And so if
awesome.
anyone just kind of wants to check out a plan, you can type in Sober Sis. I have a page that you can follow, and I've written about 8 plans on YouVersion, which is exciting because it's a way to talk about what I've learned in the science, in the mind,
Yeah.
and apply it spiritually speaking and bring scripture in and tie it all together. So
Yes.
that's been really exciting. And then, launching that a couple of years ago was really cool. And then just recently started again along that line,
Mhm.
diving into more church curriculum.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you or your audience, but for me, being a Christian wife, mother, churchgoer, Bible study leader, and struggling with drinking, I
Yes.
just did not know how to talk about it
Yeah.
without fear of being labeled, or if I was even talking about alcohol 9 years ago, I
Right.
felt like they would have been like, oh, you're talking about alcohol because you're an alcoholic,
Right.
because you're physically addicted, because you've had this huge, big rock bottom moment. And that wasn't really my story. It's
Yeah.
definitely not healthy, not aligning. And I was definitely stuck. But I was just in that gray area. And so I
Yeah.
didn't know how to talk about it. So I've actually written curriculum now that we are starting to beta test and put in churches around the country that can bring the sober curious
Mm.
language and living sober minded into the conversation, which I think is an on ramp for
Yeah.
more women to explore without fear of judgment, labels, and shame.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's true in the faith community. I think it's true in the CEO entrepreneur community, which I'm also a part of and in. I think
Right.
it's just important to be able to have as many on ramps as you possibly can to
Yeah.
the conversation. And so
Yeah.
I'm kind of drilling down right now in the faith aspect, while I keep learning about how neuroscience and faith are even starting to now
Yeah.
really mainstream overlap and what renewing our mind really means.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so
I know.
cool.
I've been saying a couple of times here on the podcast, I talk about mindset a lot here on the podcast. I'm fascinated by all of that, as I know you are too. But the Bible's the biggest mindset book ever written.
Oh,
I mean, it
totally.
really is when you
It
look.
is.
He's been
It's like a
telling us to
life
renew our
manual with
mind for
science.
2,000 years. And
Totally.
and so now to see, because I'm also a science girl, so to see the two come together is just so, so powerful. You can't deny either one of them. They're
No,
so
it's so
right.
exciting to
It is.
integrate the two.
Yeah.
And a lot of the work that I'm excited about is integrating the two.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
not making it either or a conversation for church or a conversation for, some kind of science group. It's like, no, it's all the same because we are built so intricately. And I just love that we're never stuck. We're never really trapped in one way of thinking or being. And that's so hopeful to me. That's so encouraging. And I think if more women knew that was again why I started Sober Sis. I was like, oh my gosh, if more women knew what I knew, they might make a better or more empowered choice. How can I get this out there?
Yeah.
And for me, it was a huge, like, oh my gosh. Oh, 2018, I was like, okay, I'm going out there. I'm going to make an Instagram.
I'm the only one.
I'm call it Sober Sis, which is really short for sober-minded sisterhood. And I was originally going to name it Sober-Minded Sisters in Christ, which is now what my Bible study curriculum is called. But I didn't want to limit it to just women of faith. This is a global issue. I've worked with women around the world. I've worked, like I said, with women of different ages. We have 6 different decades represented in our sisterhood. So it's never too early. It's never too late. So again, I think any on-ramp to the conversation is awesome. And people with me can take what they need, leave the rest, eat the meat, spit out the bone. And I stay true to myself, just like I would want anyone else to do in our community. But for me to come out, so to speak, as AKA Sober Sis without all of my extra words around it to kind of pad the fact that, Sober Sis, what does that mean? Jenn Kautsch. Right. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know you were a drinker. What happened? It was a big step for me in humility, in honesty, and kind of creating and hopefully carving a path for women just like me
Mm-hmm.
to be able to look at their relationship with alcohol without shame, without judgment, without labels, without rules,
Yeah.
and bring in all aspects of themselves. So kind of had to jet out there. I'm so glad that I did. And God was definitely with me then. He's with me now
Mm-hmm.
as I continue on because I'm so passionate about it.
Yeah.
Because there's still a woman at the kitchen sink who's on her third glass of wine on a Monday night
Yeah.
thinking, how in the world did I get
Get
here? This
here.
was not
Yeah.
my MO,
Yeah.
on a Sunday morning, much less a Monday night. What's going on?
Yeah.
And one more thing that you mentioned, what am I excited about? Sober Sis did become a nonprofit. We got our 501c3 status in 2025, which I'm excited. It's called the Quest Foundation. If anyone wants to check it out, go to questfoundation.net. And what I'm trying to do now is just get the message out there
Yeah.
and have people find me. That's been my biggest challenge as the world of social media has exploded over the last almost decade. I
Mm-hmm.
used to kind of be, visible, like I was kind of in a blue ocean, as they say.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was like a ship you could find. Now it's a red ocean where it's like, oh my gosh. So
Right.
it's really a challenge. That's why it's such a joy for me to be here on your podcast and maybe even reach some of your audience, because that's the challenge, is how do I get the message out?
Yeah.
So being able to do that through avenues that give value, that support other women, that are free, allows the coaching programs and things that I offer to really be for those who want to go deeper. But there's so much I offer that women can just hop on board. Come on in, my free community. Come on in.
Yeah. Well, thank you for just being willing to go first. When
Yeah.
I think back 2017 or 18, when did you say?
Yeah. 2017.
Yeah. Like we weren't having these conversations and we weren't having them as openly. So we're having them today because you were willing to go first. So I know for someone who has embraced, alcohol-free life, I just appreciate your willingness to go first. I don't know why I'm getting emotional about that, but thank you so
Yeah.
much for doing that, because you are making a difference in the lives of
Yeah.
so many women. And I know you know that, but I just want to take that
Well,
opportunity to say thank you because it's hard to go first. It's hard to be.
it is. It is. There weren't a lot of happily married Christian moms busting out there talking about their drinking out loud.
Right.
Ugh, it was like the very thing. I mean, yeah, that actually just even the thought when I was really stuck, even the thought of talking about my drinking made me want to drink more.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Right.
even that was like anxiety
that
producing.
thought's not there, Lord. I'm going to push that back down.
Oh,
Let me
I
have another
wanted
drink
to
so I don't
just,
think
is
about
there
that.
any other calling, any other mission? Is there anything else that you want me to do? I'll do it.
Yeah.
But you want me to give it up? And that was the thing too, is I would sit on my back patio for years because I tried to moderate. And again, I could, but not with lasting success. I could stop, but I couldn't stay stopped.
Yeah. Right.
And I was always playing the mental tug of war, and it was
Yeah.
just exhausting. So eventually, I would sit on my back patio and I would pray, God, take it away, while I was holding on, literally. To the wine stem, like, God, take it away. I mean, tomorrow. I mean, like, not now. I mean, like, ugh. Like the wrestling I had with the Lord was so strong. And I'm so grateful for it, because for 4 or 5 years, I knew that I wanted to change it. But I thought, well, I don't know what to do, because I guess you have to get worse before you get better.
Yeah.
I didn't see an off ramp. I didn't see a conversation going on that would allow me in without jumping in off the deep end and going, I have a problem. I'm never drinking again. Give me a label for life. It was just too scary.
Yeah.
And so, I think being able to learn how to partner with God, that it wasn't something that he was actually going to, quote, take away.
Right.
That would take away my free will and my ability to actually surrender it to him. That's what he was looking for.
Yeah.
Was actually a surrender, and not a get it together, Jen. Try harder. What's your problem?
Right. Yeah.
And so, partnering with God and going, okay, well, this is scary. And I really don't know where this is going to go, but I'm going to release that to you. And then the release created the partnership. The surrender created the partnership.
Yeah. And you can apply that to so many different things. I think about just building a business. Like there's a surrender part of business too,
Oh,
because you're figuring things out and you don't
that
know
was a
what's
whole
going to work.
nother level of
Right,
what we're doing
right.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So it's, how we do one thing is how we do lots of things. And
yeah,
so thinking about like just your habits and things you have around alcohol, you probably are starting to see I started noticing them in lots of different areas of my life too. So I love
yeah.
the call out for surrender. Well, if you could leave the audience with just one final thought as we wrap up, is it surrender or is there something else that you would want the moms and entrepreneurs to hear today?
Yeah, I definitely surrender. And I would just say, you know what? Alcohol is not going anywhere. It is just not going anywhere in our society. And I'm not an anti-alcohol crusader. I'm more of a present-minded, be awake, alert, alive, aware, present in your own life, woman on a mission, And so if you can just enter into the conversation with curiosity,
Mhm.
curiosity is going to win every time than judgment or labeling or black or white, all or nothing thinking.
Yeah,
And yeah, so I think just get started. I have so many ways to join what we're doing and just watch and listen
yeah,
until even you're ready to share that this is you can kind of slow walk it in and just be curious. Be so kind to yourself and recognize that in and of itself is really brave.
yeah, it is. It is. Well, we could talk for like 2 more hours, Jen. You're so easy to talk to, and we have so much in common, and we didn't even get into business stuff at all. But
Totally.
we'll
I
have to
know.
have you come back on and talk about that, baby. But thank you so much for coming on and encourage the audience and just having this vulnerable conversation. It's needed, and I'm so thankful that you were able to have it with me.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me and bringing it into your audience. And I know that your audience is growth minded.
Mhm.
I know they've got a growth mindset, or they wouldn't be working with you and listening to you. So I'm excited for our friendship.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, friends. Well, that's a wrap, and we'll catch you on our next episode. Well, that's a wrap, friends. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I really hope it met you right where you are and gave you some encouragement for your day. Could you do me the biggest favor and leave me a rating and review? Seriously, it's the best way for you to support the show. And while you're there, be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Thanks again. And until next time, I am believing in you always.